No one ever taught you how to live, they taught you how to survive. From an early age, you were told that life had a script, that if you were a good person, everything would work out, that effort would always be rewarded, that love was guaranteed, that justice existed, that the world on some invisible level cared about you. That is a lie. Not a malicious lie, a comfortable one, the kind that makes chaos feel tolerable. Reality is different. Life is not fair, it is not linear, it is not pedagogical. It does not teach lessons gently, it crushes, tests, takes things from you and moves on as if nothing happened. And most cruel of all, it does not apologize. Most human suffering does not come from pain itself, but from the collision between what happens and what we think should have happened. You suffer less from the event and more from the broken expectation, less from the loss and more from the belief that you shouldn't have lost, less from failure and more from the fantasy that you deserved to win. Stoicism begins when that fantasy dies. It is not a philosophy meant to make you smile. It is a philosophy meant to keep you intact when there is no reason to smile. Living in peace, in the Stoic sense, is not living comfortably. It is living aligned with reality, even when that reality is ugly, indifferent, and silent. It means stopping the negotiation with the world and taking responsibility for the only thing you truly control, your inner posture. Before we talk about peace, we must talk about loss. Before serenity, chaos. Before balance, we must tear away the illusions that keep you emotionally childish. This first part is not meant to calm you, it is meant to wake you up. There is a toxic idea, almost invisible, installed in most people's minds, the belief that life owes them something, as if there were an unsigned contract promising comfort, recognition, and meaning. You hear it in phrases like, "After everything I've done, I didn't deserve this. Why me?" This logic turns every frustration into a personal injustice. Every setback becomes an attack on your identity. Every no becomes humiliation. Every loss becomes proof that something is wrong with you or with the world. Stoicism destroys this idea at the root. There is no debt. There is no emotional entitlement. There is only cause, effect, and chance. The world does not wake up deciding whether it will favor or harm you. It simply happens. People fail, systems break, bodies get sick, relationships end, plans collapse. None of this is personal. Here's the part they never tell you. Your suffering doesn't make you special. Your pain doesn't grant you privileges. The universe doesn't keep a ledger of your struggles to balance them with future rewards. You can be good the entire life and die alone and forgotten. You can work twice as hard and get half the result. You can love perfectly and be abandoned cruelly. This isn't pessimism, it's arithmetic. Billions of people have suffered more than you and received less. Their goodness didn't save them. Their effort didn't protect them. They simply lived, struggled, and disappeared into the same void waiting for everyone. The people who destroyed your trust won't necessarily face consequences. The ones who hurt you might prosper. The person who betrayed you might sleep perfectly while you lie awake replaying what happened. Justice is a human invention, not a natural law. The universe runs on physics, not fairness. You want to believe that being good creates some protective shield, that integrity builds credit you can cash in later. It doesn't. Good people get cancer. Honest people get fired. Loyal people get cheated on. Hard workers get overlooked while the lazy get promoted through connections and luck. And here's what breaks people. They keep waiting for the correction. They keep believing that eventually, somehow, things will balance out. They won't. The scales don't exist. There is no cosmic accountant tallying your suffering to ensure appropriate compensation. When you truly understand this, something strange happens. Resentment begins to lose strength, not because pain disappears, but because it is no longer accompanied by childish indignation. You stop wasting energy being outraged that reality fails to keep promises it never made. Peace begins when you abandon the expectation of special treatment. This doesn't make you cold, it makes you lucid. You begin dealing with life as it is, not as you wish it were, and that changes the quality of your presence in the world. Less complaint, less victimhood, more adaptation, more silent strength. The Stoic does not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" He asks, "Given that this happened, who do I choose to be now?" That question is brutal because it returns control to you, and control is frightening. Most people are exhausted because they try to control what cannot be controlled: other people's opinions, recognition, time, luck, others' behavior, specific outcomes. It is a war lost before it begins. You plan expecting guarantees. You work expecting proportional returns. You love expecting permanence. And when reality breaks this imaginary contract, frustration, anxiety, and cynicism follow. Let's be more precise. You cannot control whether people will love you, but you waste years trying to be lovable enough. You cannot control whether your work will be recognized, but you torture yourself chasing validation. You cannot control whether your children will respect you, whether your partner will stay loyal, whether your body will stay healthy, whether your mind will remain sharp. All of it, every bit of it, can be taken, and the more you tighten your grip, the more the anxiety spreads. You become a hostage to outcomes you never controlled in the first place. The hardest pill: you can do everything right and still lose. You can be the perfect partner and get left. You can be the dedicated employee and get fired. You can be the loving parent and have your children grow to resent you. There is no formula that guarantees results, because other people have agency, circumstances change, and randomness exists. Most people spend decades trying to engineer certainty in a fundamentally uncertain world. They optimize, strategize, sacrifice, convinced that if they just find the right combination of actions, they can force life to deliver what they want. This is magical thinking dressed in productivity language. You cannot negotiate with entropy. You cannot bargain with time. You cannot make deals with death. And you cannot control whether your efforts will pay off in the ways you hope. Stoicism does not stop you from planning. It stops you from clinging to the plan. Planning is rational action. Clinging is emotional blackmail toward the future. There is a huge difference between direction and rigid expectation. Direction guides. Expectation imprisons. When you confuse the two, any deviation becomes a psychological disaster. Stoic peace is born from a clear distinction between what depends on you and what does not. This distinction is not comfortable. It drastically shrinks the territory of your power, but what remains is solid. You do not control outcomes. You control effort. You do not control others' reactions. You control your conduct. You do not control time. You control how you move through it. Most people prefer the illusion of broad control to the discomfort of real, limited control. The Stoic chooses the opposite. He accepts that life does not obey, and precisely because of that, he stops wasting energy trying to dominate it. This is not passivity, it is emotional economy. You stop bleeding over things that do not belong to you. The cut is deep, silent, and liberating. There is a difference almost no one learns to make: the difference between pain and amplified suffering. Pain comes from the fact. Extra suffering comes from interpretation. The problem is not feeling sadness, anger, or fear. The problem is turning those emotions into identity. I am sad. I am a failure. I am rejected. No, you are sad. You failed at something. You were rejected. Stoicism is surgical here. It cuts the fusion between emotion and identity. You feel, but you do not become the feeling. You observe pain without building a grand narrative around it. The human mind loves stories, especially stories where it is the unjustly wronged protagonist. That gives meaning to chaos, but at a high cost. You end up living inside constant drama, where everything is exaggerated, everything weighs more than it should, everything becomes proof of something bigger. The Stoic calls this mental noise. Not everything deserves reaction. Not everything deserves response. Not everything deserves deep meaning. Sometimes it's just a bad day. Sometimes it's just fatigue. Sometimes it's just life being life. Reducing drama does not impoverish existence. It makes it bearable. More than that, it returns energy to what actually matters. But here's what no one admits. Most of your suffering is self-inflicted performance. You rehearse conversations that will never happen. You replay humiliations years old. You construct elaborate scenarios of betrayal, rejection, and failure, and then emotionally live inside them as if they're real. Your mind is not your friend. It is a machine designed for survival, not happiness. It scans for threats, amplifies dangers, replays trauma to keep you alert. Left to its own devices, it will torture you with worst-case scenarios, remind you of every mistake, and convince you that disaster is always one step away. This is not a bug, it's a feature. For most of human history, the paranoid survived, and the optimists got eaten. Your brain evolved to keep you alive, not content. It will sacrifice your peace for perceived safety every single time. The Stoic knows this. He does not trust every thought that appears. He does not believe every emotion that surfaces. He watches them like weather, temporary, impersonal, passing. This takes practice. It takes catching yourself mid-spiral and asking, is this thought useful, or am I just torturing myself for free? Most of the time, it's the latter. And you keep doing it because suffering has become familiar, comfortable even. You know how to be miserable. You've practiced it for years. What scares you is the possibility of letting it go. Because then what? Who are you without your grievances, without your wounds, without your tragic story? Many people are more terrified of peace than pain. Pain gives them identity, purpose, something to fight against. Peace requires them to face the emptiness underneath, the possibility that without all the drama and struggle, they don't know who they are. Acceptance is one of the most misunderstood words in philosophy. Many confuse accepting with giving up, as if acceptance were bowing your head and enduring everything silently. Stoicism proposes something else. To accept is to recognize reality without useless emotional resistance. It is to stop fighting what has already happened, not to become complacent, but to act from solid ground. When you accept, you see clearly. When you see clearly, you act better. Constant emotional resistance distorts perception. You react impulsively, act in heat, decide in resentment. Acceptance cuts this cycle. It does not make you meek, it makes you strategic. You stop fighting what already is and start using what is available. This requires maturity. It requires letting go of the fantasy that things must be different for you to be at peace. Stoic peace does not depend on ideal circumstances. It depends on internal alignment, and that alignment begins when you stop running from reality and face the world without makeup. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Most of what you refuse to accept, you'll be forced to accept eventually anyway. The relationship that ended, the opportunity that passed, the person who died, the youth that faded, the potential you never realized, the version of yourself you thought you'd become. You can resist for years, decades even, holding on to bitterness, replaying what could have been, asking why it had to happen. And in the end, you still arrive at acceptance, only now you've wasted irreplaceable time fighting a battle that was over before it started. The Stoic accepts quickly, not because he's weak, but because he refuses to pay the interest on pain. He takes the hit, processes it, and moves. He knows that clinging to what's gone is like drinking poison and expecting the past to die. There's a specific type of suffering that comes from refusing to let go, the suffering of carrying dead weight. Old grudges, past versions of yourself, people who are gone, dreams that won't happen. You carry them like corpses and wonder why you're exhausted. Every if only is an anchor. Every it shouldn't have happened this way is a chain. You're not honoring anything by refusing to let go. You're just making the pain last longer than it needs to. Most people live as if they were eternal, not consciously but psychologically. They act as if there will always be a later. Later I'll fix it. Later I'll change. Later I'll speak. Later I'll live. Stoicism enters like a cold blade into this illusion. You will die, not as a threat, as a fact. When you truly accept this, something reorganizes inside you, not dramatically but structurally. Time stops being an infinite backdrop and becomes a scarce resource, and everything scarce changes value. Death does not come to terrify you, it comes to align you. It dismantles false priorities, humiliates small vanities, exposes the absurdity of concerns you treat as gigantic. The Stoic does not think about death to become gloomy, he thinks about it to become precise. When you remember that you will die, you stop postponing important decisions. You stop tolerating the intolerable. You begin measuring life not by comfort, but by coherence. Death becomes a brutal filter. Does this deserve my finite time, my energy, my attention? Much fails this test. That is not depressing, it is liberating. Those who accept death accept the silent urgency of living correctly. Not intensely, not romantically, but with presence and intention. And here's what they don't say at funerals. Everyone you love will die. Everyone who loves you will die. Everything you build will crumble. Every word you speak will be forgotten. The universe existed for billions of years without you and will exist for billions more after you're gone. You are cosmically irrelevant. Your problems, your achievements, your pain, your joy, all of it matters exactly as much as dust matters. This is not nihilism. This is perspective. In 100 years, no one will remember what you worried about. In 200, your name will be forgotten. In 500, every trace of your existence will be gone. The things you obsess over, your reputation, your image, whether people like you, will dissolve into nothing. This should free you. Instead, most people find it unbearable. They need to believe they're important, that their life has cosmic significance, that the universe will miss them when they're gone. It won't. The Stoic looks at this void and doesn't despair. He doesn't need cosmic significance to act with integrity. He doesn't need eternal legacy to live with purpose. He understands that meaning is not discovered, it's constructed daily in how you treat the limited time you have. You are going to die, probably sooner than you think, and no one is going to save you from it. Not medicine, not God, not willpower. Your time is finite and non-renewable. Every moment you waste on resentment, fear, or trying to impress people who don't matter is a moment you'll never get back. The Stoic does not chase life. He walks attentively, knowing each step counts. Because when death comes, and it will come, the only thing that will matter is whether you lived in a way you could respect. Anger is energy, but misdirected energy becomes sabotage. Most people think anger gives strength. In practice, it takes it away. It narrows vision, accelerates bad decisions, and leaves messes you will always have to clean up. Stoicism does not demonize anger. It puts it in its proper place, a signal, not a command. Anger shows that something was violated, a boundary, a value, an expectation, but acting immediately under it almost always turns a local problem into a chain of unnecessary consequences. The Stoic learns a rare skill, not acting at the emotional peak. He creates delay, space, interval, not because he is weak, but because he knows decisions made in heat are rarely intelligent. He understands that the world does not demand immediate responses to everything. Often, silence is the most strategic response possible. But let's be honest about what anger really is. It's the ego's tantrum when reality doesn't comply. Someone disrespected you, someone took what you wanted, someone violated the rules you thought everyone agreed to follow, and now you're furious, not because of the objective harm, but because your internal narrative was disrupted. You thought you were important enough to be treated differently. You thought the universe would enforce your preferences. You were wrong. Most anger is just surprised entitlement. You expected respect and got dismissal. You expected fairness and got exploitation. You expected loyalty and got betrayal. The anger isn't really about what happened. It's about the gap between what you expected and what you got. The world doesn't owe you respect. People don't owe you honesty. Life doesn't owe you fairness. When you finally accept this, anger loses most of its fuel. You stop being shocked when people act selfishly, when systems fail, when promises break. You stop taking it personally when reality doesn't care about your expectations. Resentment is emotional toxic waste, something to be discarded, not stored. Not out of kindness, but out of psychic survival. You do not need to forgive everyone, but you must stop carrying the weight of what is already over. Unresolved anger becomes identity. Identity built on wounds becomes prison. You become the person defined by what was done to you, and that person can never be free because their entire sense of self depends on staying wounded. There is a point in Stoic maturity that scares many people, the moment you stop needing validation. Not admiration, not praise, not being understood, validation. This does not happen because you became superior. It happens because you became whole enough to not depend on others' reflections to exist. Most people flee silence because in silence, there is no audience, no likes, no external confirmation. Only you, your choices, and their weight. The Stoic learns to be alone without feeling abandoned. He understands that loneliness is not the absence of people, it is the absence of internal alignment, and that can exist even in a crowd. When you stop seeking approval, something strange happens. Your decisions become cleaner. You act according to principles, not expectations. You say no without guilt. You hold unpopular positions without going to war. This has a cost. Not everyone will like you. Not everyone will stay. The Stoic accepts this. He trades artificial belonging for real integrity, applause for coherence, external acceptance for self-respect. Here's the truth most people can't stomach. You will be misunderstood. You will be judged by people who never tried to understand you. You will be criticized by people who've done nothing themselves. You will be rejected by those whose opinions shouldn't matter but somehow still sting. And none of it changes whether you're right or wrong. None of it determines your worth. The crowd has always been wrong about everything important. They laughed at the truth-tellers, celebrated the liars, ignored the wise, and elevated fools. If you're waiting for society's permission to live with integrity, you'll wait forever. The Stoic stops waiting. He acts according to his principles and lets the consequences unfold. He would rather be hated for who he is than loved for who he's pretending to be. Most people are so desperate for belonging, they'll betray themselves to get it. They'll soften their opinions, hide their beliefs, perform versions of themselves they don't respect, all to avoid the discomfort of being on the outside. The Stoic understands that there's no belonging without self-betrayal in a world that rewards conformity, so he chooses to belong to himself first. And if that means walking alone, so be it. Loneliness with integrity is better than company built on lies. Silence stops being empty, it becomes space, and in that space you hear something rare today, your own conscience. Perhaps the hardest point in Stoicism is this: doing the right thing even when there is no reward, even when no one sees, even when it brings no return, even when it seems useless. The world does not guarantee justice, recognition, or happy endings. The Stoic does not act expecting compensation. He acts because that is the kind of person he decided to be. Virtue is not currency. It is internal structure. This requires abandoning a deeply childish idea that good will always be rewarded and evil always punished. Often it will not, and still you do what is right, not out of moralism, but out of identity. Good people get destroyed, honest people get exploited, hard workers get overlooked, kind people get manipulated. This happens constantly, everywhere, to people who deserved better, and the world shrugs. No cosmic intervention arrives, no karmic justice materializes, just silence and the brutal fact that being good doesn't protect you from bad things. The dictator dies peacefully in his bed. The thief retires wealthy. The manipulator gets promoted. The liar is believed. The honest person is called naive. The principled person is called rigid. The person who refused to compromise gets forgotten, while those who sold out get celebrated. This is not the exception. It's the norm. Virtue often costs more than vice. Integrity often pays less than corruption. Honesty often loses to deception, and no one is coming to fix this. The Stoic knows this and chooses virtue anyway, not because it pays off, but because the alternative, becoming what he despises, is worse than any external suffering. He would rather lose with integrity than win by betraying himself. This is not romantic. This is terrifying. It means accepting that you might live correctly and still lose everything. You might be honest and still get cheated. You might be loyal and still get betrayed. You might give everything and receive nothing. For the Stoic, the meaning of life is not found outside. It is not in a grand purpose or special mission. Meaning lies in how you act within chaos. To live well is to live in a way you can respect yourself, even when everything around you is collapsing. It is to keep character when it would be easy to become cynical, to keep dignity when selling yourself would be tempting, to keep principles when everyone else is abandoning theirs. This does not bring euphoria, it brings something more stable, silent peace, not constant joy, not performative happiness, the peace of someone who is no longer at war with himself. You cannot control whether virtue will be rewarded. You can only control whether you practice it, and the Stoic does, not because the world deserves it, but because he does. Let's be honest, the peace you seek will not arrive as an event. It will not knock on your door after all problems are solved. It will not appear when your life finally gets on track. That does not happen. Stoic peace is built in the middle of disorder, loss, uncertainty, and discomfort. It is born when you stop demanding that the world be different so you can be okay. When you mature enough to accept that living means dealing with limits, losses, and frustrations without collapsing internally. Stoicism does not save you, it strengthens you. It does not promise lightness, it gives you structure. You will still suffer, you will still fail, you will still lose. The difference is that it will no longer destroy you every time. You stop reacting like an emotional child and start responding like someone who understands the game. Life remains hard, you become solid. And here is the final truth, the one that separates those who understand from those who pretend. This never gets easy. There is no moment where you've figured it out and can coast. Every day requires the same decision, to align with reality, to choose integrity, to act despite the void. Some days you will fail, some days you will break, some days you will betray every principle you claim to hold. The Stoic doesn't pretend otherwise. He simply starts again the next day, without the drama of self-flagellation or the comfort of giving up. Because living with purpose in a purposeless universe is not a destination, it is a practice. And the practice never ends until you do. You will wake up tired, you will face the same struggles, you will be tempted to quit, to compromise, to give in, and you will have to choose again to be the person you decided to be. Not because it feels good, not because anyone is watching, but because the alternative is worse. Most people never reach this point. They keep waiting for life to get easier, for clarity to arrive, for motivation to strike. They wait for the perfect moment to start living with integrity. That moment never comes. The Stoic starts now, with what he has, where he is, knowing it won't be enough, knowing he'll fail, knowing no one will applaud. And he does it anyway, not because he's special, but because he refuses to be one more person who knew what was right and did nothing. In the end, living in peace is not living comfortably. It is living without betraying yourself. And in a chaotic world, that alone is a radical act. If you understood this, you do not need more motivation. You need daily practice, silent, relentless. That is how Stoicism works. If you made it this far, you are already part of this. This channel is sustained by a rare community, lucid, courageous people who do not run from hard questions. If you feel you belong here, become a channel member. It is the most direct way to keep this project alive and gives you access to exclusive content and conversations. To those who are already members, thank you. You are the backbone of all this. And for those who seek more, I leave a serious invitation. Pessimistic philosophy, lucid darkness is not a course for everyone. It is an unfiltered dive into the harshest truths of existence. Only enter if you are ready. The link is in the description. If you want to support in another way, super thanks helps a lot, but simply watching, commenting, or sharing already makes you part of this. And here, that matters. Thank you very much.